Hello everyone, this is Professor Jason Noveda and I would like to welcome you to this video presentation. By the way, for this video presentation, I will introduce to you the concepts and nature of international business because knowing the foundations on international business will be a great help habang inaaral natin ang global finance. We all know naman that globalization is one of the reasons or the contributing factor why different business have an opportunity to market their goods and services not only within their country but also to different countries all over the world. Because of that integrated global economy that we have right now, more businesses can able to embrace a full range of cross-border exchange of goods and services or even resources between two or more countries. This kind of activity is belong to what we call international business. Let us see the different definitions of multinational corporations or yung MNCs. Multinational corporations are those companies with a central office and operations within the particular country but operates as well in other countries around the world. In layman's term, these companies are engaged in doing business activities. So it is very clear on the given definition na ang mga businesses na may operations hindi lang sa iisang bansa kundi nag-ooperate din sila sa iba't ibang bansa is kabilang sa tinatawag nating multinational corporations. So let's have an example of multinational corporation. Let us use as our example the San Miguel Corporation. San Miguel Corporation is the Filipino multinational publicly listed conglomerate holding company. And this company is the country's largest corporation in terms of revenue. They have over 24,000 employees in over 100 major facilities throughout the Asia-Pacific region. So, bakit nga ba natin kailangang alamin yung ganitong klase ng business? See the business operations of that company, which is the San Miguel Corporation, as multinational business. Paano nga kaya nila na ma-manage ng maayos yung kanilang operations, most specifically their finances? So, what strategies and techniques do they have in terms of managing their finances? And that is actually one of the main point of view why do we need to study global finance. Take note that global operations of international business force the treasurer's office of the company to establish international banking relationships, place short-term funds in several currency denominations, and effectively manage foreign exchange risk. That is one of the challenges of financial management in multinational level. Okay, so do you know some multinational corporations headquarters here in the Philippines? If you know some, just comment it down to the comment section of this video. Moving forward, let's discover how to manage a multinational corporations. The commonly accepted goals of an MNCs or yung multinational corporations is to maximize the shareholders' wealth. Katulad din ito ng mga domestic corporations that they do an effective operations to achieve the same goals, which is to maximize the shareholders' wealth. Managers employed by the MNCs are expected to make decisions that will maximize the stock price and therefore serve the shareholders. So if you want to refresh your knowledge about the profit and wealth maximization, just click the link on the description section of this video. So I have a separate video exploring about the main objectives of financial management, and that is the profit and wealth maximization. Some multinational corporations are now placed their emphasis on satisfying the shareholders so that they can easily obtain funds from shareholders to support their operations. So, ang ginagawa ng mga multinational corporations in order for them to support their operations is pinoprotektahan nila yung interest ng kanilang mga shareholders. We all know naman that once the company did not satisfy the shareholders, mataas ang potential that they withdraw their ownership from the company at hahanap yan ng magandang company where they can put their investments. Now, pag nangyari yun, apektado ang magiging business operations ng company. Lalo na kung ang aalis na shareholders sa kanila is mayroong malaking share sa company. Now, if we will notice the way how domestics and international firms manage their operations are common. Meron silang parehong ultimate goals and objectives, which is the maximization of wealth of their shareholders. The main difference is the scope of their operation. So let's move now to the discussion of centralized and decentralized management style of multinational corporations. So let's differentiate first these two management style. Pag sinabi nating centralized, the decision making is in the top management. It implies that all power and authority is at the topmost level. So in the case of multinational corporations, the decision is at the parent country where the main headquarter is located. When we talk about the centralized management style, the middle level or the lower management has the capability or authority to decide. So in case of multinational corporation, the branches from different countries have the authority to decide about the management of the said branches. Then they will let the parent country about the decision na gagawin nila. Now, let's move forward to the different reasons why firms are pursuing international business operations. The commonly held theories as to why firms becomes motivated to expand their business internationally are the following. Number one is that the theory of comparative advantage. This theory allowed the firm to penetrate foreign markets because of their competitive advantage. More companies are pursuing international business if they are confident about their advantage. Let's say, for example, si Japan. Japan is the country that is well known in terms of modern technology. Here in the Philippines, we do not have advantage about producing modern technology like Japan. This is an advantage for different companies of Japan to penetrate the Philippine market and the other countries na nangangailangan din ng mga modern technologies. Let's move now to imperfect market theory. An imperfect market refers to any economic market that does not meet the rigorous standard of hypothetical perfectly or purely competitive market. Another definition of imperfect market is that an environment in which all parties do not have a complete information and in which participants can influence the price. That's why imperfect market provides an incentive to firms to seek out foreign opportunities. For instance, since we do not have perfect market nga, firms can easily capture foreign markets and do international business. Maybe we are so much aware about the system here in our country about pricing schemes of different companies. Or much better, let's explain it in a micro perspective. Yung halimbawa, yung kapitbahay mo is marunong gumawa ng candies. Let's say yung product na yon ay may potential na i-export. Ang ginawa ng kapitbahay mo is nilagyan niya ng puhunan yon at itinayo niya yung negosyo. And then minarket niya yon sa ibang bansa as export product of the Philippines. Now, since we have imperfect market, your neighbor who is the business owner can sell the products in higher prices because the buyer somewhere else do not have any information or complete details about the price of the product. Dugtungan pa natin yung kwento. Ikaw naman, for example, is a business-minded individual at nakita mo yung potential ng negosyo. Ang ginawa mo, you avail the product of your neighbor and sell a product to a higher price. Now, the question is it allowed or is it legal? Okay lang ba yun na inabil mo yung produkto ng kapitbahay mo sa mababang halaga at ibinenta mo siya sa mas mataas na halaga? Then the answer is yes. Actually, it is so much practiced by so many entrepreneurs, lalo na dito sa Pilipinas. So, nagagawa natin yan sa market natin kasi we do not have perfect market. Meron lang tayong imperfect market. So meaning our market do not meet the rigorous standards. Kaya nga ang Department of Trade and Industry or yung DTI is meron silang tinatawag na suggested retail price. It means that the price of the certain products ay maaaring magkaiba-iba yung presyo niya sa magkakaibang market din depending on the associated cost. Let's move now on the last theory, that is product cycle theory. So one of the more popular explanations as to why firms evolve into a multinational corporation is the product cycle theory. So according to this theory, firms become established in the home market as a result of some perceived advantage over existing competitors, such as needed by the market for at least one more supplier of the products. So to better understand this theory, as reasons why firms are pursuing international business, let us use, for example, the company JMN as our company located in Manila. So to penetrate the market, company JMN should produce a competitive product. Pag sinabi natin competitive product, it can able to meet the market demand despite of some changes. So once the company accommodated the local demand, they can export the product to other countries. Again, the reason is to penetrate the foreign market. Well, of course, may isip ng company na masyadong costly sa part nila kapag sa Manila pa gagawin yung produkto at ita-transport to other countries. So ang gagawin ng company is they will look to some suppliers within the foreign country para mas bumaba yung production cost nila. So para ma-sustain yung kanilang operation sa ibang bansa, they will be having a product line expansion. So gagawa sila ng bagong mga product that will satisfy the needs and wants of the people dun sa foreign country. That is the reason kung bakit ang McDonald's dito sa Pilipinas ay may rice at walang rice sa ibang bansa. May mga product line ng store na hindi mo makikita dito sa Pilipinas. This is because the company expanded their product line based on the needs of market nung nakapenetrate na sila sa market ng ibang bansa. So moving on, the following are the strategies and methods being used by the firms to engage in international business. Number one is international trade. This is a conservative approach that involves exporting and importing to penetrate in the market. The next one is licensing. Licensing obligates a firm to provide its technology. Let's say, for example, copyrights, patents, trademarks, or trade names in exchange for fees or some other specified benefits. The third one is franchising. Franchising is one of the common strategies na ginagamit ng iba't ibang firms, like for example is McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and others. Joint venture. A joint venture is a venture that is jointly owned and operated by two or more firms. Many firms penetrate foreign markets by engaging in a joint venture with firms that resides in those markets. So if the business owners who is located here at Manila has a friend situated at Singapore, for example, who is also a business owner, can join their venture. This is their advantage na they are situated at different countries. Acquisition of existing operations. Another strategies of the firms in order for them to penetrate in a foreign market is through acquiring of the existing operations. For example, American Express acquired offices in London, while P&G purchased a Bleach 11 company in Panama. So acquisitions allow firms to have full control over their foreign businesses and to quickly obtain a large portion of foreign market share. The last one is establishing the foreign subsidiaries. Firms can also penetrate foreign markets by establishing new operations in foreign countries. to produce and sell their products. So these are the different strategies or methods being used by the firms para maka-engage sila sa international business. To recap our discussion, we highlighted the definition of international business and multinational corporation. We also discussed how the multinational corporations manage their operations. We differentiated the centralized and decentralized management style. We also discussed the different reasons why firms are pursuing international business through the following theories. So we have theory of comparative advantage, imperfect market theory, and the product cycle theory. Lastly, we discussed the different strategies and methods used by different firms for them to be engaged in international business. Okay, so that's all for this video presentation. I hope you learned something today. By the way, I would like to remind everyone to please revisit your module and complete it. You can share as well your major takeaway from this video presentation. Just comment it down to the comment section of this video. So again, thank you and keep safe everyone.